Indian Yearbook 2022. So this is a PDF which I got from ISS Core website. I am reading it. Hopefully it can be useful for you. Dealing with the pandemic, the beginning. On December 31st, 2019, the World Health Organization was informed by the national authorities in China of the cases of pneumonia of unknown cause in the Chinese city of Wuhan. Chinese authorities identify a novel virus, namely coronavirus, as the cause of the pneumonia cases. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that causes illness ranging from the common cold to more severe complications. By March 2020, the rapid increase in the number of cases outside China and led the WHO to announce that the outbreak would be categorized as pandemic. Reservoir and origin. A WHO report on March 2021 stated that human spillover via an intermediate animal host was the most likely explanation, with a direct spillover from bats next most likely. Introduction of the virus through the food supply chain at the Yunnan seafood market was considered another possible, but less likely explanation. For a virus acquired through a cross-species transmission, rapid evolution is expected. Coronaviruses in general have a high genetic plasticity, but viral evolution of SARS-CoV-2 is slowed by RNA ribonucleic acid, proofreading capability of its replication machinery. Animal collections. Bats are considered the most likely natural reservoir of SARS-CoV-2. Difference between the bat coronaviruses and SARS-CoV-2 suggests that human may be infected by an intermediate host, although the source of introduction into human remains unknown. COVID arrives in India and government response. The increasing magnitude of this outbreak in India called for a preemptive, proactive and graded whole of government, whole of society approach built around a comprehensive strategy to prevent infections, save lives and minimize the impact. Janta curfew and 21-day lockdown was quickly enforced to cover the immediate threat. Standing operation procedures were formulated and released related to the movement of people stranded at different places within the country, including migrant labor. Seamless availability of essential items were also ensured in an organized and efficient manner. With an aim of bringing home the Indians stranded in many countries due to the pandemic, the government launched the Vande Bharat mission. Breaking the chain, the government followed the test, track and treat strategy diligently. The government prepared about 60 guidelines, SOPs, advisories for the management of COVID-19. These guidelines included medical emergency planning, availability of hospital, isolation and quarantine facility, disease surveillance and testing, ensuring availability of essential medical equipment, augmenting human resource and capacity building, supply chain and logistic management, coordination with the private sector, economic and welfare measures, information communication and public awareness, technology and data management, public grievances and strategic issues related to lockdown. Economic support. Immediate actions were taken by the administration. 1.7 lakh crore relief package under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana (PMGKY) was released to the poor to help them to get over the economic fallouts. The Prime Minister on May 12, 2020 announced as a special economic package and gave clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The package combining the earlier COVID-19 economic packages and decisions taken by the RBI was summed up to 20 lakh crore, equivalent to almost 10% of India's GDP. Free food grain worth rupees 8 crore were provided to migrant laborers and their families. Additional on May 13th, 2020 to strengthen India's fight against the disease, PM Cares Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief Emergency Situation Fund Trust allocated 3100 crore to be used for the purchase of ventilator relief measures for migrant and vaccine development. Medical infrastructure. A three-tier arrangement of health facilities was created for the appropriate management of infected cases. It included COVID care center with isolation beds for mild or pre-symptomatic cases, dedicated COVID health center with oxygen-supported isolation beds for moderate cases, and dedicated COVID hospitals with ICU beds for severe cases. Tertiary care hospital under ESIC, Defense, Railway, Paramilitary Forces, Ministry of Steel were leveraged for case management. Guidelines on clinical management of infected cases were issued and regularly updated and widely circulated. The country's public health efforts were strongly supported by its research and development capacities in developing vaccines against COVID-19. India is one of the largest global suppliers of vaccine, producing nearly 60% of the world's vaccines. The National Task Force on Vaccine Development was formed in April 2020 to set up the process for coronavirus vaccine development and provided the necessary impetus in this direction. FSSAI also released an e-handbook on Eat Right during COVID-19 for the citizens, which highlights safe food practices to be followed diligently and tips on health and nutrition. IT to the rescue. COVID-19 National Teleconsultation Center was started by AIMS Delhi. Its aim was to cater the doctors from anywhere in the country who wanted to consult AIM's faculty for the management of COVID. eSanjeevani, a web-based comprehensive telemedicine solution, was utilized to extend and reach of specialized healthcare services to masses in both rural areas and isolated communities. An interdisciplinary Ayush R&D task force was formed to prepare clinical research protocols for Ayush prophylactic studies and add-on interventions in COVID-19 positive cases. Do's and don'ts were widely circulated through SMS. Caller tune messages were sent to telecom subscribers in 13 languages. Dealing with oxygen crisis, an anti-COVID drug 2DG was launched on May 17, 2021. The drug reduces the dependency of the patients on oxygen administration and the potential of getting absorbed differently in selected manner. The PM Cares Trust has already located 201.58 crore for installation of additional 160 dedicated pressure swing absorption medical generation plants inside public health facilities. Further, to address the shortage of oxygen tankers in countries, the government imported 20 cryogenic tankers of 10 million ton and 20 million ton capacity and allocated them to these states. A plant of 1 million ton capacity was built by DRDO with assistance from PM Cares Fund. PM Cares also allocated funds for the installation of 500 medical oxygen plants across the country. Oxygen expresses were started by Indian Railway on April 24, 2021 to provide respite to the states requiring medical oxygen. As a part of Operation Samudra Setu, 7 Indian naval ships were deployed for the shipment of liquid medicine, oxygen-filled cryogenic container and associated medical equipment from various countries. It must be noted that Operation Samudra Setu was launched in 2020 by Indian Navy for repatriating Indian citizens stranded in neighboring countries back to India. Dealing with black fungus. Even as the country was dealing with the surge COVID-19 cases, another threat posed by a fungus, mucormycosis, black fungus, was being reported in a few patients during the post-recovery. The government of India proactively made all the efforts to ramp up the supply of availability of amphoteric B antifungal drug for the treatment of mucormycosis and supplemented the domestic availability of this antifungal drug through import. Care for children. A special scheme, Peer Cares for Children, was launched for the children who lost both parents or surviving parents or legal guardians, adoptive parents due to COVID-19. Under the scheme, all such children will get a monthly stipend once they turn 18 and a fund of 10 lakh when they turn 23 from PM Care for their personal and professional use. Besides the financial support, free education will be ensured for such children. They will also be assisted to get education loan for higher education and the interest will be paid by the PM Cares. Also, all such children will be enrolled as a beneficiary under the Ayushman Bharat scheme with a health insurance cover of 5 lakhs and premium amount of these children till the age of 18 years will be paid by PM Cares. World's largest vaccination drive. Phase 1 of the National COVID-19 vaccination drive was launched on January 16, 2021 that focused on protecting healthcare workers and frontline workers. The Phase 2 initiated from March 1, 2021 focused on protecting most vulnerable population, person above 60 years of age and person above 45 years of age with associated specified comorbidities. These further relaxed to include all the peoples above 45 years of age on April 1. Phase 3 initiated on May 1, 2021. Everyone above the age of 18 became eligible for the vaccine. COVID-19 vaccination continued to be free for eligible groups in all government COVID vaccination centers. Ministry of Civil Aviation launched the Medicines from the Sky project in Telangana, under which drug and vaccines were delivered using drones. Permission was granted to the ICMR for conducting experimental beyond visual line of sight vaccines delivery in Andaman and Nicobar, Manipur and Nagaland. Indian foreign policy is governed by its age-old maxims. Vasudevaya Kutumbakam, the world is one family, which prompted India's unique initiative of vaccine matri, vaccine friendship, efforts of different ministries and departments. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Specific packages are notified under the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana for testing and treatment of infection and excessive empanelment mechanism. Hospital empanelment module light was launched for empanelment of hospitals. Indian Red Cross Society in its initial phase of the outbreak, volunteers were trained and awareness and prevention program were conducted to sensitize people and vulnerable communities. COVID app. The COVID app was developed to track and support vaccination across the country. The app has also been integrated with DigiLocker and Umang for getting certificates of vaccines. Telemedicine solution eSanjeevani OPD. Ministry of Home Affairs is screening people entering India in view of virus threat. And Ministry of Home Affairs asked private agencies to avoid layoff during the lockdown. Unhindered movement of essential goods essential ensured during the lockdown. Issued advisory to state union territories to make adequate arrangement for migrant workers, students, etc. Took measures to fight fake news in order to prevent COVID-19 pandemic. Defense Research and Development DRDO. In the time of need, DRDO transformed itself into a missile maker to mask designer for saving lives. COVID care hospital created makeshift hospitals. IG antibody ELISA detection kit. Anti-COVID therapeutic drug 2G 2-deoxy-D-glucose was developed by DRDO. Oxycare, a unique system which senses individuals' SOP2 level and accordingly supplies oxygen from cylinder. Ministry of Electronics Information Technology, Arogya Setu app, an app that for contract tracing awareness about the government initiative. Arogya Setu IVR systems, RT-PCR, RATI, mobile app for restricted use by authority, authorized sample collectors. Work from anywhere portal, secured integrated portals on the government panel to work from home. Digital thermometer, e-pass system for easy movement of vehicles during the lockdown. Ministry of Commerce and Industry, enhancing production capacity of essential drug and other material. PPE production capacity, supply tablets like hydroxychloroquine, paracetamol, etc. to manufacture. Production of hand sanitizer licenses permission expedient to ramp up production. Monitoring of prices of medical devices, oxygen concentrator. Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food and Distribution, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, Anna Yojana, additional allocation of food grain at the rate of 5 kg per month, person per month. Smooth procurement of food grain. Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat package, Department of Food Civil Supplies, Consumer Affairs have made allocations of about total 8 lakh million tons of additional food grains covering all three states, covering all these states and the union territories for stranded migrants who are neither covered under the National Food Security Act nor on the state schemes. Public distribution cards. Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, availability and augmentation of drug. Department of Pharmaceuticals actively led to fight to provide against the disease not only nationally but also international pricing. The National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority fixes ceiling of the price of scheduled medicine specified in the first schedule of the Drug Price Control Order 2013. All manufacturers of the scheduled medicine, branded or generic, have to sell their product within the ceiling price plus applicable goods and service tax fixed by the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. Indian Railway, Shramik special trains, free of cost catering services to migrant traveling by the Shramik special trains. This was topic 1, treating the pandemic. The next will be the land and the people, which we will do in the next video.